first group. And I would like the other participants, Dee, you're standing. Beth, would you stand? Jane, out in the corridor. We're all here to help you, and we are so pleased.
Beth and Carolyn.
And Carolyn, excuse me,
Beth and
Carolyn. You want to raise your hand. We're here to have a wonderful evening together. Thank you for taking your time away from loved ones, family, and a beautiful evening. So first of all, I'd like to thank the Wolfeboro Community TV. Jake is here, and he's going to be recording this presentation, and eventually it will be put on YouTube with a connection to their website. So we will let you know when that occurs if you'd like to watch it. We'd also like to thank profusely the Wolfeboro Public Library for letting us use their facilities both here and the Beaver Room. Wonderful facility, and even though they're closed for the evening, they trust us. Isn't that a good thing? That's great. So before we get started and I introduce our presenter, I would like people to raise their hand when I ask a question. The question is, how did you learn about tonight's presentation? And I will give you the cues. Who found it on Facebook? Raise nice and high. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Who found it on the Wolfeboro Public Library website under their calendar? Who saw it in a newspaper notice? Who found it or heard about it from an email notification? Very good. Who found it via Eventbrite? And who registered via Eventbrite? The register. Great. Thank you very much. After the presentation, you will have an opportunity to raise your hand and say, I have an Ask Me question. And we have experts over here that are going to be helping you, the sisters over here. So, what's that?
Bob and Sherry.
Sorry?
Bob and Sherry Rudy.
Oh, right here as well. Thank you.
Myself.
Thank you. Wonderful. So, to get started, I am so pleased to introduce Todd Powell. He is the senior product owner at FamilySearch.org that is responsible for the development of mobile apps, improving new user experiences, and keeping the tree database running. One of the recent highlights was releasing the user experience called Relatives Around Me on the Mobile Tree app. He and his wife, Carrie, live in Utah and have 5 children. They have helped launch 2 charter schools and founded a humanitarian organization that builds homes in Mexico. He has over 30 years of technology and management experience. Todd, would you please come to the podium?
Yes. Thank you so much. So, I have 30 years of technology experience, and my wife is showing me how to turn this on. Right? It's just the way it is. So thank you very much for having me here and inviting me. Anyway, didn't ask the question, how did I find out about it? I wanted to raise my hand. So, so DI said, Todd, why don't you come and do this? That's how I found out about it. And so we've known them for many years now, and so we said, yeah, we'd love to. So thanks for having the warm weather for us when we came. We appreciate that. Let's see. I'm going to try to do a little bit of housekeeping, but I want to tell you a story first, all right? And just so you know, I've worked at FamilySearch for 10 years. We have done some research about the kind of people that do family history, all right? And we have different names for them, so I'm not going to give you all the different kinds of names for them, right? But we have connectors, for example, people that just like to connect, right? We have consumers, people that just like to read stories or look at pictures, right? We have individuals who like to contribute stories and photos, but that's it, right? So our website allows you to upload photos and attach them to our persons in the tree. And some tell stories. And then we have some who like to come and just kind of see what it's all about or see what their heritage is. Does that make sense? We have a lot of people from Latin America that use FamilySearch to find out their ancestry of where they came from, whether it was Italy or Germany or England, so that actually helps them not only identify with where they came from, but it also helps them to be able to potentially get citizenship, right, in some of these other countries so they can go work there. So, but the other type of user that we call them our main or our heavy researchers. Okay, so turns out what we're finding is approximately 3 to 5% of all the people that want to be involved in family history are researchers. It's more actually like 3%. Okay, we also have found that as we go out and we talk to more and more families, it seems like there's one person in every single family that fills the calling, right, to do family history research. Does that make sense? Is that you? Is that most of you? You're the ones that are in your family that have been called to do this, right? So if you think about your family members, right, you have some family members like, oh, that's really interesting. Let me know when you've done the research and I'll come and participate. But that's okay, right? So this is great, right? So we're learning a lot more. We used to think that we would invite people to come to FamilySearch and that they would come and they would discover something about their family history or a photo or they're part of the Mayflower that we talked about or whatever it was, right? Or through the 1950 census come and learn about your ancestor, and that somehow they would come and that they would come again and they'd come again and that we could then get them to become researchers, right? Turns out that doesn't work very well. It's just part of who we are, right? We all have likes and dislikes, and you just can't take somebody and make them a researcher. There's something inside the DNA of people who like to do research. So just telling you a little interesting about that. Turns out I'm not a researcher. So I love family history, and I love building family history apps. That's why I'm at FamilySearch. I used to work for a large technology company that's not around now. It used to be called Novell. Kind of started the whole thing of networking in the industry. And I worked there for a lot of times, and I worked as a partner in a small software company in healthcare. And then 10 years ago, I got approached to come to FamilySearch, and I said, no, I want to run a charter school. So I did that for about a year and a half, and then went to FamilySearch. And then I got involved in building applications and software solutions for FamilySearch. And I got to tell you, it's, for me and for all of us that work there, it is the best job you could ever have. We love it. So not all of us are researchers that work there in the technology side, but they all fit into one of those groups that I talked about. All right, so I'm going to tell you another quick story, hopefully. 2013, I got to FamilySearch, and I started doing just a little bit of research, and I found a record for my grandmother's cousin. And my grandmother's from Missouri. She was born in southwest or south central Missouri. And I found a record for her cousin. And I looked it up, and I found out that she was born in 1913. So 10 years ago in 2013, she was 100 years old, right? So I found this record, and I thought, this is great. This is one. Wait, I found a record, and I looked. She wasn't in FamilySearch, so I'm going to add her to my family tree. And so I pushed the button, and I added her into family tree. And then the next morning, I woke up kind of early, and sometimes you know how you wake up and you're like, have this idea, right? And I thought, she's 100 years old. Maybe she's not deceased. So, and that was the thought I had, because the day before I'm like, oh, surely, yeah, and my genes, my grandmother lived to be 96. So I thought, well, maybe, anyway. So I I Googled her name, found out that I found her last name, I found her original name and then found her last name and Googled it, and there was a phone number. I called the phone number and she answered.
Oh my God.
She actually answered the phone number. So who does that, right? Right? When you're 100 years old and you still live at home and you have a phone and she answered the phone. And then I told her, yes, I am your cousin's grandson. And we had a wonderful 15-minute chat, right? So that was just a really kind of fun experience for me, right? At first, when I kind of had this funny thought, right? When she was first talking to me, thinking, wow, this technology is really great. You can talk to people from the other side. Someday, right? Someday the technology will hopefully let us do that. I'm joking, right? All right, so today's going to be real informal. I have a list, an agenda. There's no way we're going to get through that entire agenda. Hello, how are you guys? Thank you everybody for being here. So we won't get through the whole entire agenda. So one of the reasons I'm telling you I'm not a researcher is that a lot of what I do is all tree related. Okay, it's all about persons in the tree. So it's about names and places and dates and sources that we call attaching them or assigning them, or about adding a memory, which is usually a photo or a story or a document. And so I'm in charge of the system that keeps track of all the 1.5 billion names that are in this tree at FamilySearch. Now, 800 million of those are all connected in one big tree, one way or another. And when I say all connected, there is somehow a relationship up and down and over and down. There's 800 million that are all connected, and we call that the big FamilySearch tree. Right? So that system actually has lots of data. It's called a big data system. It's terabytes of data, if that means anything to you, right? So there's megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes of data. And we have another big system, which is all of our records, the database that maintains all of the record information. Which, have you guys ever participated in what FamilySearch calls indexing? It's also called transcribing, right? You see a record like a census record, and you have a little database, and you enter the name and the date and the place and the family, right? So we call that indexing. You probably have done that, maybe a little bit at FamilySearch. So that's a huge database. I mean, we're talking really, really big. We have another big databases that are billions of images. Right? Just the actual picture of a record, and we keep getting more and more of those every year. We have probably 300 or 400 projects right now across the world of digitizing images, and it just gets bigger and bigger all the time. FamilySearch is the only organization that is really global. So our customers, many of you come from business and a background, right? And when you do any kind of product, you do what's called market segmentation. You say, who's my target audience, right? Who am I selling to, right? If I'm selling children's clothes, then you're selling to a mother, and specifically like this, right? So you have to be very, very specific about your target customer. Well, our customer, it goes from age 8 to 108, right? They're all kinds of individuals that aren't researchers. So we go from very, very skilled genealogists down to an 8-year-old who just wants to learn about their grandfather. We cover every single continent, 250 countries around the world. We support 46 languages already on the site, and we add 5 to 7 every year. We are very, very globally focused in everything that we do. So a lot of stuff that you see like this page in Korea will totally be different. It'll be customized for Korea, or in Thailand, or in Poland, or in Russia, or in all of the countries that we're in. So we're very, very global focus. Now, we didn't start globally. We started back in, what was it, 1890? D, help me. Was it 95, 96? Something like that. FamilySearch started out. I'll come down here. It's here, right here. Huh? okay, in the 1800s. Started out as the Utah Genealogical Society. So let me see if I can get back to that about where you were, right? So it's not on this page. It's over here. All right. This is one of the buildings that we have in Utah. This was built specifically for the technology side of the organization. The technology side of the organization has about 400 people that work on developing all the technology, right? So when you look at our site and you go and you think, how could it possibly take 400 people to do this? But we have over 100 different types of systems to maintain. And we have many, many websites, and we have a mobile app, and we have all of this records and digital information. And it just takes a lot to be able to do all the stuff we're doing, especially globally, right? So we have over 400 people that work on all the technology side of it. Then we have all of our support and our help and our marketing. And the company is actually run very similar to most technology companies that exist today. We use the latest web technologies. We use the latest back-end server technologies. Anyway, we do stay up to date on all of that. But right here, that's my office. Right there. That used to be my office. My office is in my home now, thanks to the pandemic. So, and let me go back down to here, and I'll just show you briefly a couple of things on the history. So it used to be called the Utah Genealogical Society, or the Society of Utah, 1894. And then we started having multiple languages. I'm going to go through this fast. We started what's called microfiche or microfilming. We started that in 1938. The first local family history center was opened in 1964, and now there's 5,000 of those locations worldwide. Here are a bunch of technology geeks. I don't recognize any of these guys. They're probably, this guy here sort of looks familiar. He may be still around from 1999, but our website, FamilySearch website, went live. It changes so fast. It changes so fast that the biggest complaint we get is what? What? Stop changing it. Don't, you guys read that book, right? Don't move my cheese. Leave it alone. Stop. But you can't stop, right? The reason you can't stop is the underlying technologies that support all the web and all the back-end servers and all of that, that changes all the time, and we just have to, and we have new features that need to be built. So we can't really stop changing. Searchable records is what we talked about with the indexes. This is when we started Roots Tech. How many of you been to Roots Tech at all? Yeah, a few of you. Yeah. So in the pandemic, we switched, right, and we went to online, and now we have both at the Utah Salt Palace, and so we have it virtually and we have it locally, and it's become a really, really big event. And I don't like speaking at those, but I get to. So. And anyway, over 1 billion records. So just to give you a little bit of idea of FamilySearch. Okay, so why do we do this? Why does FamilySearch do this? Now, all of this is part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So everything that we do is without any kind of fee or cost. It's a nonprofit organization. FamilySearch is part of the LDS Church, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but it is a genealogical company also, right? That's separate in a way where we have technology and we work much like Ancestry and some of the other bigger ones, but we do it all at no cost to any users ever for anything, except sometimes to attend Roots Tech. I think that's the only thing where there's a cost to be able to do that. So why? Why do we do that? It's all about helping families to gather your family. And that's what it's for. It's all about families. It's all about finding your family history, connecting, helping you with your identity. And that is the purpose. And that's the only purpose, is to be able to help families gather and connect with your family. Okay? All right, let's see. I am going to take a couple of questions during this, but then we'll just have a couple of questions and then we'll go on. So does anybody have any question about Family Search or what we do or anything like that? Anybody have a question? Yes.
Back to the whole organization with being in so many countries, how do you maintain security for all of this?
Her question is, in so many countries, how do we maintain security? It's really, really hard, right? So there are privacy laws that are different in every country, right? There's the GDPR, which is the European privacy laws, and so we have to be very, very careful. We have representatives that work at Family Search that work in the areas, not in every single country, but they work in the areas that represent those countries, and they stay in touch and have relationships with the local and understand the laws and the privacy laws and those kinds of things. So we're very, very sensitive to privacy. As a matter of fact, we don't have to do this, but at times people will call and say, you have information about my grandfather, for example, on your website. Now, that's all public information, right? And it's entered by other users. We don't enter the information. Users enter the information about people. And they said, I'm just not comfortable with that information being on your website. Would you please remove it? And we do. We usually remove that, okay? So we're very, very sensitive about that. Our security systems on the technology are very latest technology security. We have very, very skilled and experienced security analysts. So all of the technology is very, very up to date and the latest technologies that we use. So yeah, we're very, very, very much on top of that. Yes, one other question.
What's your backup plan? I mean, where do you keep all the, I know you have something maybe in the mountains somewhere, but do you have all these server farms? And are there a good backup for something if something really bad happens and it goes down? You're going to lose our information?
So the answer is that we have everything that's digitized gets put on large technology servers that are in what people call the cloud, right? I don't know who came up with this cloud thing, right? It's all on the internet, right? So most of our stuff is on what's called Amazon AWS and Amazon services, and they have a system that has redundant. They have like a ring of computers where all the information is copied 3 times on each computer in this ring of, let's say, 25. I'm just giving you an example, right? And then that's the main site, let's say, in Virginia, and then they'll have a backup site in Ohio. So Amazon has multiple sites across the United States, and there's always the main copy that has redundancy, and then there's a backup copy that has redundancy, and then some of our systems have backup tapes or disks that have that.
Okay.
So that's, yeah, so it's very, very secure, and it's very much a backup. And so, yeah. So the internet has changed everything for family history, right? So some people believe that the internet was created just for family history work to grow. And I sort of joke about that, but not really, because it's so different, right? It's just come from leaps and bounds. And I'll talk a little bit more about where we think we're going in the future.
Could I just add a question to what you just said? If something gets removed at the request of somebody, do y'all leave a note or something that says, because what if somebody found it a while ago and then they go back to look for it and it's gone? Do they, do you leave some, like, this was removed per request, or it's just not there?
We keep that information and we know about it, but once we remove it, we don't publish anything about that name or date or place to any other users.
Okay.
So we know about it so that we can go back in and have a record of that.
So if somebody's found it when they were doing a search and it's not there anymore, it's just not there anymore?
It's just not there anymore. And if somebody really asks about it, then they call us and we say, yes, this is why we removed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They put it back in.
They can. Yeah, and then we'll remove it again. Yes.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, some things we keep track, and if somebody adds that name again, we will recognize it, and it automatically kicks off an alert, and somebody knows about it, and we find it. All right, so let's see. All right, I'm talking really fast. I'm sorry, but we have so much to cover, and I asked you to bring your computers because I want you to do a few things. We're going to have a little bit of a hands-on. So, but until we do that, if you could just kind of keep a little bit refrained from playing with your computers. You don't have to close the lid, but if you could just not use your computer, that would be very, very helpful. All right, so I want to show you, I'm going to go here. I think I'm going to start with this. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you some of the things that are sort of new that some people don't know about, all right? And the first thing I want to show you is this thing called cemeteries, and let me bring this up. All right, this here is FamilySearch.org. This is English, and then cemeteries. All right, that's a site that is now available. There's more work being done on it, but I'm giving you a little bit of sample, and I'm going to show you a map. And this one is a Salt Lake cemetery, and we were talking about this earlier because somebody walked in and my wife is an event manager at BYU, and she is working on this event called what? Career Fright. Happens around in October for some reason, and she's making these what do you call them? Fake? Huh? She's making real headstones out of styrofoam. And she's making them look just like it. So we were driving through from Maine over here, and we passed a whole bunch of cemeteries. And then she said, stop. So we had to stop so she could get out and take some pictures. Anyway, we're talking about it. But we have this new website at Genealogies where we're trying to put almost all the cemeteries that we can find or have records on, and map those, and then put all the people that we know of or that the cemeteries know of up on the site. This one happens to be an example of Salt Lake City Cemetery, and this is part of what we're doing here, where it'll say, Todd, you have 150 relatives in this cemetery. How cool is that? That is really, really amazing, right? So they're taking this big tree of 800 million that I've told you about, and it's taking my information in the tree, goes up and searches a whole bunch of my ancestor paths to go up and come back down and find, like this person, my first cousin twice removed. Well, they all are my first cousin twice removed. I just noticed that. Wow, I have a lot of first cousins. This is still in process, but we're getting to that point. So let's go do this. Let's go to...
Todd, are you accessing this through the actual FamilySearch website?
I am.
Okay. Thank you. Spell Wolfeboro.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Wolves, like that?
No,
E?
Look at that. Is that how many people are in the cemetery?
That's how many people that we know of,
You know of.
that the system knows of. Now, this is a database that we work with and with Find My Past, right, and Billion Graves. So we're partners with them, and so we work together, and this is a lot of the information they have. So anyway, it's just kind of a neat way to do it. So this is something that you might want to play with. It's FamilySearch /English EN /cemeteries. And it's just kind of an interesting thing that a lot of people don't know about. It still is in the early stages of it, right? But it'll be more and more work is being done, and the relatives part should be done by the end of this year for most cemeteries in the United States.
Are y'all gonna add columbariums?
I don't know specifically, right? All right, so that's kind of a cool thing. Did anybody find this? Hasn't really been announced, but sometimes people stumble across that.
Can I just ask a question? If you haven't written down the login, is there a place on the website you can go to and have a list of how to find the cemeteries and some of the other things that you might discuss here tonight? I mean, I'm very familiar with it. I actually work in one of the libraries, so I'm just kind of curious.
Most. There is some information about it somewhere, but you're going to have to take good notes.
Okay.
Because I'm going to go through some very specific things, and I don't know how you would find all of those on the site somewhere. All right.
Okay.
But if you'll see here, I hit that site, and now I can just kind of come back down like this, right? Let's get a little closer since we're here. All right. Where was the place we were talking about? That was with you, Marty? So where's Alton? Down here, south?
It's called the Hurd Cemetery.
Is it down here? A little bit? Alton right here?
Yep.
So we don't have all of them there, but there's still some of them.
So there should be 114.
Well, looks like we have some work to do. Anyway, kind of a cool thing, right? To be able to look at. All right, let's go to another one here on my list. All right, this is FamilySearch.org tree improve place names. I will show you how to get to it in a minute. This is a little feature that my team felt inspired to build in March of 2020. What happened in March of 2020? So in March of 2020, our team was talking and we said, you know what, it would be great if we had something to help more people feel like they could get involved in doing something, right, that are not researchers. And we decided to build this tool for two reasons: to help users and to help our system. We have a lot of information about places in our system that do not have standardized dates. So users will enter that information and not always pick a standard date when they're doing it, right? And then they'll save it. So we have millions of places in our tree database of persons that do not have standard dates. So we built this tool where you could select a location, and I'm just going to come in here and let me come down to the United States, and I want to review 10 people who do not have a standard place. Now, we try to build this very simple so you do not have to be a researcher, but you can come and say, here's a place entered by a user, here's the place, it's not standard, please select a standard date, and it gives you one, and you look at that and you say, does that standard place match that? And what would you guys say? Yeah. Yep, and here's some other life events of this person that could help, right? So let's say this was a residence in 1900. Let's go down here. In 1920, they were in Ohio. In 1889, they were in Ohio. And this is in Ohio. That sort of tracks for that person, right? So you can do, anyway, you come down to that and you say, that looks like a standardized place. And where is my save button? Save and continue. There it is. Okay. And then it goes to the next person. And you can do the same thing. Anyway, kind of a fun little tool if you want to teach anybody who just says, how can I do something, right, without being a genealogist? So This is part of a new kind of set of tools that we call, well, let me show you where it is. If you log into FamilySearch and you click on the little FamilySearch icon, it takes you to this, which is what we call your homepage. This is a customized one for you when you log in. So this has information that's pertinent to me. But if you scroll down here on the right-hand side, this is where that new volunteer opportunity is. Now, this is part of another project that we have that we are calling, not that one, let me get back to this. We are calling Get Involved, right here. FamilySearch.org, Get Involved. And that's this, we did that in March of 2020. And a few months later, another team started working on this whole concept that we ended up calling Get Involved, which is for the same reason, to help people be able to do some things that make them feel like they're participating without necessarily being researchers, right? So this Get Involved, you can come here and you can see opportunities and you can review names. So instead of reviewing a place, you can come down here and click on Name Review, and you can say, I would like to review a name, and you can choose a country, like Argentina, because you guys are also good at names in Argentina, right? And you can hit search, and it will pull up a record from Argentina. This looks like marriage records in Argentina. And look at this. Isn't this cool? It'll highlight a name on the record, and it'll give you what the computer using AI, artificial intelligence, right? It'll look at all of this and will say, I think this handwriting is Blanca Rosa. The computer says that's what I think it is, and it's been taught to do that, which is what artificial intelligence is. And then it says, will you review this? And then will you match it, or will you edit it, or are you unsure? So in this particular case, I think that probably is a C. Blanca is a very familiar name in Spanish, so I'm going to say match. And then it goes to Alberto Miguel, and I'm going to say match. And I'm just going to stop there. That's kind of fun though, right? Who can do that? Anybody, right? Even teenagers can do that, and that's kind of fun. So it's a way for people to help and get involved. And my team was helped build this. So we have this on the mobile app and on the website. My team did the mobile app side of this, and we had another team that did the web app and helped build this little tool. And we tested this whole thing out. We spent 4 or 5 months just doing user testing about how to make this more and more simple to get it like this. So just so you know, we spend lots of times or lots of effort in doing real user testing with real users, and then we change it, and then we review the information and change it again, review the information and change it again. This one here for this app, we probably went through 10 cycles of develop, build, test, change. It's kind of fun. It's really cool to kind of get it right. Yeah, the first version of this didn't work very well. So there was one question.
Are there some kind of checks that when any user makes a change like that or accepts it? Is
This
there
one,
anything
all
that
of these,
verifies that?
she's asking, is there some kind of check? All of these get reviewed at least twice by 2 different people. Every single one of these. Yeah. So that's kind of a fun tool. Has anybody done this? I'm just curious if, yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It's great.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. So yeah, that was another tool. So that one and the one I saw you about name places, those are what we call get involved activities. Lots of fun on those. And then, so that's what the get involved in. The cemeteries, I showed you that. Let me show you this. We have improved this. We've just recently we've made improvements on this ability. So this is a a data set. This information here that you see in bold has all been keyed in by millions of users on different records. This we call indexing, right? So if you participated, so somebody looks at a record like this, they go through each line, and then they type in this information as they best can see it. Now, most of this information on a lot of records is handwritten, and it's hard. Some of them are easy, some of them are medium, some are impossible, right, in that realm. But what we can now allow you to do is if you come across a record for somebody that is in your family, or even if they're close to being in your family or somehow related to you and you're working on that person and you say a record and you go, wait a minute, that doesn't look right, or that name isn't quite right, you can come up here and hit this edit button. And then over here on the side, see how we have these edit? You can edit the name, the age, the relationships, the birth, the residence, and the census. So that is fairly new to be able to edit all of those things on this record, and that's a really powerful way. And that's really, really important because sometimes there's mistakes that are made, and it leads to not finding or sometimes duplicates and things like that. So if you weren't aware of that, you can get to that edit button and now be able to update that record on adding that. So
What happens if that person updating makes an error or puts something incorrect?
what if they make an error? Then they have to go back. They cannot pass go, and they get put in, in the monopoly space where they can't go on until they learn how. No, there's no. We don't. I mean, this is checked twice also, but if somebody else makes a mistake, right? Because then you could say, well, then what if that person that was reviewing made a mistake? And then it's the whole if you give a pig a pancake, right? Have you guys read that book? Oh, go! It's probably in the library. Right? If you give a pig a pancake, isn't that the name of it? What? If you give a mouse a cookie, but there's another one. The sequel, if you give a pig a pancake. Anyway, sorry. This, I can make some of it bigger. Like this, you mean? That didn't help. That made it smaller. On some of these pages, I will make it bigger, yep. So let's close that one. Like this, does that help? Nope, that doesn't help either. All right, let's see what else. Okay, this is searching historical images. So this, how you get to this is you go to search and you click on images. So that's how you get to that. And then you can type in a place, whatever place that you're working on, and you can go and search and see if you can find any images. Now, why would you want to search for an image? Anybody? Why would you do that? What?
Maps?
For what?
Does it have maps?
The images? Yes, it could have a map. But why wouldn't you just go up here? Why wouldn't you just go up here and click on search and then search for a record itself? So why wouldn't you do this? Why would you come and search images? Thank you. So Beth says they're unindexed. So we have that many. It's a lot of images. See, it's just going up all the time, right? So we have 5 billion plus images. So not every single image that we have has been indexed yet. So you can't search for it by keying in a word because there's no database that has the information on that record. The only thing we have is the image itself. So how do you find something? Well, you have to go to certain places. You have to look at certain types of images, right? And you have to narrow your search down saying, I think I want to look for images, right, in the state of Guadalajara in the city of Guadalajara in this time frame. I want to look and see if I can find images to see if I can search through those images and hopefully find something about my family. So it helps to be able to narrow the search down to get as far as but anyway, that's an image search. It's really become more and more helpful as we continue to add more and more images on there.
Can you give an example, Todd?
What's that?
Could you do an example?
Let's do, I don't know, where should we do? What place?
Ohio probate.
So you can refine your search right here. You can go over here and you can refine the search that you want. You can show a map. Here's a way to refine. I just got to that. Sorry. But here's an image group, and you click on it. And here's the group of images, and then you can just click on one, and you can go from image to image, and then you can just enlarge those like this. I'm just panning and scrolling. So this looks like vital statistics. So anyway, kind of cool that you can be able to do that.
Do you have access to things like ship manifests? I know a lot of people have traced their relatives with those.
We have so many kinds. I don't know. I am not on the record side, and I don't think anybody knows how many types of records of every kind that we have from everywhere. So there's no way for me to know to answer that question. I'm sorry.
No problem.
How about newspapers?
We have just a few, not like newspapers.com. We don't have access to that information.
I understood that images of people, photographs of people, were not part of FamilySearch anymore.
If they're uploaded by other users, yes, they are.
Is there a place to search for them?
There is a place to search for them. She's asking about, let me go over here and close that. She's asking about, you can go here to memories, and there is a find right there. And you can type in keywords, and it will search the titles. So when photographs are added to our system by other users, okay, not by us. And they fill out a disclaimer, right? There's a policy that says if you want to upload photos, you have to go by these guidelines and these policies, and they have to agree to that, and then they upload those photos. And so if they type in a title or a description of the photo, then you can search by the text, or you can search by what we call a topic tag. So somebody has to type in some keywords about that photo. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then you can search for them, unless they make them private. Anything that you upload, you can make private, and then nobody can see them or search for them. Most of the photos that get uploaded, by the way, most of the photos, let me go over here to find, this is my great-great-grandfather, Jarvis, came over from England, and you'll see that he has 182 memories. Most of those are photos. Some are documents, and some are what we call stories. It's taken a while. I think the internet is a little slow. You're all on it. So I'm a little used to fiber optics. Sorry. Yeah, I'm pretty spoiled. I have fiber optics running to my house. So anyway, most of them are photos. So most of the photos are actually uploaded on persons in the tree, right? So they're on a person like this, and I go here to memories, and I hit add a memory, and then I upload a photo about that person or about their family. I'm just saying most of the memories that we have are actually what we call attached to a person in the tree. Hey, look, headstones. There's a theme. There's a theme going on.
Did you notice there's a ship manifest on here?
This is one that somebody uploaded.
Yeah.
So somebody can take a picture and upload a photo of that as well. All right. So funny. Here's an interesting story. So about 6 years ago, we went to England. Is that what it was? 5 or 6 years ago, we went to England. So some of my ancestors, most of my ancestors are from England. Some are from Scotland. Some are from Wales, and some from Scandinavia, and that's not too uncommon, right? I have a lot of history here in New England. Topsfield. We just drove through Topsfield, Massachusetts. Have some ancestors that came from that area. Anyway, we are in the middle of nowhere in Western England. Do you remember the name, Carrie, of that place? So I know that one of my grandparents, four great grandparents, had lived in this tiny little town close to Bath, England. And we were driving in that area, and we stopped and wanted to go there. And we got there just as the sun had set. And we wanted to see if we could find any information. So where do you think we went? What? To the what? To the church. Let's take it to the pub. Pub was closed. It's a small place. So we went to the church, and then there was a graveyard. And so we started looking and searching in the graveyard to see if we could find anything about my great-great-grandfather. And then it just got darker and darker and darker. And it was really spooky. Like, nobody was around. It was just a small little town. Everything was closed down. It got super dark. There's no lights anywhere. There's nobody at the church. And we just decided we're done. We can't see anything. Got a little flashlight. It wasn't helping. But you just kind of, like, you just spook yourself. That's what happened. We scared ourselves, and we just started laughing, and we said, okay, we better move on. But that would have been fun to find something about my great-great-grandfather there at that place. We did find a couple other places for my ancestors, and that was a really fun trip to take to England. All right, on we go. I'm going to talk about this right here. This is not, you do not have to be logged in to find ancestors. So this is called ancestors.familysearch.org. This is a set of millions of persons that we publish to another database that is stored on Amazon, and we only put deceased public information out there, and we limit what we put out there, so it's all public information that people have uploaded. And you can actually search for a person on FamilySearch. Now, we make this all, we've indexed all of it, and we've submitted it to Google, and Google goes out and they actually start to crawl and index this. So you can actually go out, and when you do a search for somebody on Google, it potentially would find one of your ancestors, and it would take you here to this place. So this is not, so all of the persons that I showed you over here, right, all of this, you have to be logged in to see this information. You have to have an account, you have to be logged in. This, you don't have to be, and so you can search for people here, or you can come down here if you don't do Google, and you can just click on names, right? It'll go all by the names, so let's do S. I'd come down here for, let's see, Shelton should be in here, and I would just kind of keep going down and find, here's Sheldon. Shelton should be in here, right? Anyway, that's the idea, right? And so you can just kind of keep going, then you get a list of persons. And so that's another way that you can either you can help people if they didn't know how to do this, but you can go to this thing called ancestors.familysearch.org, www.familysearch.org. Now, are all of the 800 million people in that system? No. I think we have a few 100 million that are in there. So most of those are all within the last 150 to 200 years. So it's, when you're searching for somebody like this, it's usually somebody that, is 2 or 3 or 4 generations away. When people that don't know anything about family history, right, that we want Google to index, it's usually, hey, I'd like to know about my grandfather or my great uncle or my great aunt or somebody like that. So we try to get most of the people that are in that time period on this system. All right, something related to that is this feature called Surnames. And it's FamilySearch.org/surname. You don't have to have the EN in there because I'm in the language. So if I just go like that, it takes you to the same place. So it's /surname, and then you can just type in Shelton, and it'll kind of give you some information about the last name. In our database of persons in our tree, we have 69,000 people in the tree that are from the United States, 12,000 are from England, 410 are from Australia, and then of course there's other countries, but we only show the top 3. And then it looks and says, hey, there's the Shelton there. What if I type in Merle, which is my grandmother, and what if I type in Missouri? And what if I type in 1910-ish. All right, and then it looks for Merrill Sheltons. So it starts off with a surname search. Now, a lot of people find this really, really valuable because they, again, are looking for some connection to their ancestry and where their ancestry was from. So a lot of people using this are amazingly, probably more people in Central Mexico, Central and South America use this than people do in the United States right now. And we are continuing to always add more and more records and more people from Mexico, Guatemala, Brazil. And as a matter of fact, most of the usage, it depends on which feature is being used, but when people are looking or adding names to the tree, it's usually in the United States first. That's just the way it has been and will be. And second is usually Canada. And then third kind of is either England. People are being added from England, or now Brazil is usually becoming the top third place that people are searching or adding people into the tree are now from Brazil, which is incredible, right? Because a few years ago, Brazil was not even in the top 10. So we have a lot more records from Mexico. I think we have over 20% of all the records known of Mexico we have access to now. I think it's gotten up to maybe 30%, and it's starting to get that way in Brazil. So because there's access to more and more records, then people are doing their genealogy, and they're finding records, and they're adding and connecting people into the tree. And so it's really cool to see, kind of this momentum happening in Brazil that happened 20 or 30 or 40 years ago in the United States, right? Now, most countries don't have all of the same records that the United States has been able to keep, but a lot of countries do, and they just haven't had them digitized. And so now all of that's happening. All right, so why don't we pause for just a little bit? Okay, those of you that have computers, go ahead and let's open them up. Or you can do this on your phone. So if you have a phone, you can do this on your phone, or just go to FamilySearch.org/surname. You do not have to be logged in, right, to be able to get access to this information. So why don't you just see if you can find somebody that that you know. Yes.
This probably happened to a lot of people when they come to the U.S. The story was that when your grandfather came here, they told him whatever the court of entry was to use that name. And it looks like your name had a mark, and of course,
Yes.
so how would you do that on a search like that?
Our search algorithms use a lot of variations of names to search for those kind of people. So the search tools have that built into it. Yeah, now it's not every single thing or every variation, but a lot of the more common ones, they do search for that. So, all right, so just go to familysearch.org/surname. And for most of you, this may not be interesting. The name meaning may not be interesting because you probably already know that. This may not be interesting. But what this kind of does is it doesn't just find your last name. It finds records potentially, and it finds people in the tree, and it finds some memories or stories potentially about those people. So it's this multi-phase search. It's not just searching for your last name, it's searching for other things. So it's kind of a neat tool. Yeah, Don asked a question that comes up all the time. He asked, is there any way to help where you've added information about your family and help so that some other user doesn't come and change that information? All right, so all of the information of the people in the tree is public, right, entered, and it's all what we call open edit. And so there's pros and cons to that. We are in the process of slowly adding some additional tools to help impede or help people understand not to change things. So for example, one of the things we're trying to introduce is something that I've wanted to do for a long time that I call a person quality indicator. It's sort of FamilySearch's way of saying, we think this person is good enough, don't change it. Okay? So it's really, really hard to do, but we're working on that, and we're testing that with some users right now. It's actually testing really well. We're also putting some indicators to say, hey, don't merge this person because of this, some additional what we call merge impedance, as well as hinting and change. So we're adding some more tools to be able to do that. The other thing that the good side of this is that this was a really, really big change 10 years ago that FamilySearch did to create this. It was actually about 12 years ago to create this public tree where everybody could edit it like a wiki, right? It's like Wikipedia, meaning that people can go on and edit this information. Before that, everybody had their own information. It was isolated. So the huge value is that the amount of people actually getting on FamilySearch and adding persons and finding additional information because other people have that information has gone up probably 10 to 20 times more of their ability to find their family because of a public tree. So people collaborating together, right? So the value of it exceeds the pain that is had by sometimes somebody goes in and changes that. So we are aware of that. We're working on it to be able to provide some more tools, but it's a little bit hard, right? It's a little difficult. We're also working on some additional new kinds of trees, which is one of them I'm going to show you a little bit. I'm going to show you some information about it. But yes, we get that question all the time, and we are aware that it's really difficult and challenging sometimes when somebody messes it up to go do that.
So a question related to that. What about a tree that you find where the information is not correct? Is there a mechanism to be able to update it or to correct it or to put a note somehow so that Because copy and paste is probably one of the biggest pieces that people use when they do a tree.
Yes.
And so how is that prevented, or how is that managed?
I'm going to show you something we added last fall to help with this, okay? And not everybody still knows about it. So let me go up here to, let me go to my great-grandfather. So one of the things that we added, so yes, somebody could come in here and say, oh, this is wrong, or this is right. Or a lot of times this happens when there's twins, right? When they're legitimately twins, right? Or when they think they're twins and they're not really twins. So there's a lot of information. One of the things that we did is we shifted this and created what we call an alert note. So if you come down here to notes and you want to tell somebody why you think this is correct and why you shouldn't change it or why it should be changed, you can come down here, click on this, add an alert note. I'm going to change this later. And you can write your note and you can click this button and hit save. And then it pops up here at the top. See that? Important research has been done on this program. Please read these alert notes. Now, whatever you put in this note should be very well documented research about why you think it is correct or why you don't think it's correct. This also comes up before a merge. So if somebody is being merged and it has an alert note, it'll pop up now before the alert note and tell the individual.
So that's protecting your own material. What about if you find material somebody else has done that through Y-DNA and other things you know is not correct?
Then you should, first of all, what we recommend is that you should go to whoever made the last changes here, right? You should go and contact them and say, would you like to collaborate? I found this information. Then you should add the sources for those information up here, right? When you go to this source information right here, these all excuse me, these all have an option to tag, meaning saying this source proves something about this name or this date or this birth or this christening or whatever it is, the vital or the other event. So you should tag them, and then you should put in the reason statements. You should go ahead and correct all of that, tell somebody that why you're doing all of that, and then you should create an alert note. Right.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit. The last change was 10 years ago, and that person no longer is interested in doing it. So it's kind of an abandoned record.
Okay.
Now what?
Then you change it. Yeah, you go up and change it. Right? What the overall good of this whole system is not about, here's my philosophy, right? The overall good is for us to have the best documented quality person that can be, right, can be determined. It's not about my person. If you go back, if it's your grandfather, sure, you claim that person as yours all you want, right? You should be able to say, I know my grandfather, I have the most pertinent information. If it's back in the 1700s or the 1600s, is that really your person? No, the answer is no. It's not your person, right? Are you related or a descendant of that individual? Yes, you are, but how many other people are? Right? When you go back 10 generations, that's 1 million descendants. It's not yours, meaning only yours. It's our person. We need to work together and we need to find the most accurate, the most information in terms of sources and records and data, whether it's coming from a book or whether it's coming from so-and-so said so. It should be all sourced and documented and collaborate with other users. If nobody's collaborating with you, that's okay. Right? That's part of what you're asking. If nobody's there to collaborate, that's okay. We do the best that you can and you try to work with persons. We're introducing a new messaging system that'll make it easier. We're calling it chat. Next month, we're switching from this thing we called FamilySearch messaging to chat. Chat will actually let you see if somebody's on FamilySearch real time. If they happen to be on FamilySearch and you want to chat with them, if they've made that available, if they've turned it on and say, yes, allow people to see that I'm online, then you should be able to chat, right then, real time with that individual. It's just a nicer, better system to be able to communicate with everybody. All right, so that's part of why we like to change things, just to make it better. Did that answer your question, mostly? You're welcome. All right, I know we're running out of time a little bit. I think we've got through most of the stuff. This thing here, this is called FamilySearch /all collections. This is very similar to what we just did with Surname. It's just starting in a different place. Instead of adding just a last name, this will search tree persons, this will search records, this will search images. It's like an all-encompassing search of FamilySearch. So instead of just records only, it's all of our systems. We call it one search is the short term that we have for that. All-collections. All-collections. So we talked about that. This is really fun. We keep adding more and more famous people. So we have some Roots Tech personalities. We have some historical figures. We're adding more from other countries. We have this thing called how are you related to a famous person, right? So if I click on Walt Disney, because I'm logged in, right, it shows me that I go up 9 generations, and it shows that I am indeed related to Walt Disney. So I should be able to change all his information. No, right? Anyway, this is kind of a fun thing that if you didn't know about it, it's really kind of fun to help out here. This is our president and CEO of FamilySearch, and anyway, there's a whole bunch of people. There's more there. So this is a fun little tool. It's called. I have the link that you can send to it, but it's connect/famous is that link, and I think I got through most all of these. I do want to show you one more thing briefly, and I cannot spend a lot of time on this because we're out of time, but this part is really important. All right. We are creating a new, let me back up just a little bit, all right? FamilySearch has, when all of you have an account at FamilySearch, you have always a person that represents you in your account is created. We sometimes refer to that as your home person, or I like to call it a me person, right? This represents me, right? This is fictitious, Carrie, don't worry. This is just something I made up to demo, right? And it's my dad, pal, and my wife. So this is fictitious, but all of this part that's living is private to me. I'm the only one that can see it. So anybody that's living is my tree. That you can actually say that's mine. And whatever I do on a living person, nobody else can see it. Memories or anything like that, right? When I connect up here to a deceased person, this relationship is private, but this person that's deceased is public. Anybody can see and edit this person. So you have your tree that's connected to this big public tree that I talked about, right? All right. So we are creating 2 new kinds of trees. Think of this one that you know of as my FamilySearch tree. So it's my living and all the deceased that represent my ancestors and everybody else's that's a descendant of, right? That are all connected. We're creating a family group tree. A family group tree is this right here that I show you right here. I go up here and I click on this. This is my original FamilySearch tree, and this test tree is a tree that I can invite my family members into this group, and they will be able to add and edit the living. So I will be able to share any of the living I want to share with any of my family or whatever I deem my family is. So for me, that would be me and my wife and my children and their spouses, and we would form a family group, and then we would upload photos and stories about my family. So we would start documenting living history on my family members. And one of the cool things is that you will be able to come in here and see a pedigree. We're actually building a new pedigree view that will allow you to show siblings and aunts and uncles. It'll let you kind of expand this way. It's not revolutionary because Ancestry has one. So we're kind of late to the game with that, but FamilySearch is working on that. That's my team. Anyway, this is a new concept to have a shared living group, and you get to invite only who you want to participate with them. If you don't like them and you can't trust them, don't invite them. Yes.
If someone comes in and gives one of these people a death date, does that record become public then?
Yes. Yeah. So the word trust, right? If you want to have somebody working in this space with them, you trust. Now that's why I'm saying family. Now let me tell you why part of this is so very important. Ancestry is also caught on to this vision. The vision is, remember how I told you at the beginning, every family has the person that's called to do family history work, right? Well, the way that family history has always been done, most likely, in most cases for 100 plus years, is some individual doing the family history and having the tree that they build, right? Either on Ancestry or on paper or Roots Magic or Find My Past or whatever technology you prefer or don't, right? You kind of work, that's you working. Sometimes you'll reach out to a certain person and say, hey, do you know about this, or can you help me with this? But it's still your tree, right? Well, the shift is FamilySearch and even Ancestry is headed towards families working together to gather families. Instead of an individual gathering a family, it's families working together. So this is a family group tree. We're working on something else that we're calling a researcher tree, where you'll be able to have a space where only you can edit all the living and deceased. So your own tree. That would truly be your own tree. We're doing that to initially go out to larger societies or groups or organizations that don't have anything right now. And they're asking for a way to have a safe place where only they have people working on it, groups of people working on it, and can edit it. So we're working on two different kinds of new trees. It's going to be a bit interesting to have people shift from, this is my account, I'm working on it, nobody else is in there, to really working together. So the whole industry is actually going to be shifting towards this in the next year to 5 years, and hold on, put your seatbelt on. So yeah, it's going to be kind of like working together with people.
Do you start that from scratch when you do that, or can you import?
The researcher tree will be an import or from another. So no, you don't have to start over. Yeah, this here you can actually copy over from your current private space. All your living, you can copy that over. Yeah.
That's a little paranoid about things like identity theft and everything. When I used that site years ago, and it's all still in there, which is pretty cool because I have my name and my password still. But it shows me, my name, my middle name, my married name, date of birth, and my daughter and everything else. Now, since we're still alive, can a person, not this section, but the person when I look at the family tree, can they see
No.
me because I'm alive?
No.
Okay, so they can't.
Her question is all the information she has about herself, can anybody see it? No, you're the only one that can see it. If you get to a point where you want to create a group and you share it, you have to be very careful about who you invite into your group. So, anyway. All right. lots and lots of information, and we probably should stop. So let's, sorry we've taken longer. I will open it up for just general questions at this particular point. So we'll go for about 5-10 minutes. If you need to go, you're welcome to go, and then I'll stay and answer questions as much as possible. So let's start right here.
Yes, have you finished digitizing all the films?
The films in the vault?
Yes, the microfilms.
Yes.
So they're
That
all
was-
done, virtually everything.
Yep,
for-
2 years ago that was done.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, but there's so many more records out there, right? But that's done and we're on. So, Mary, did you have a question? So, the Utah Genealogical Society collected digital records when they first started, right? On microfilm, microfiche is what they was called at sometimes, right? The very first attempt to actually take photos of records. And they started doing that, and then we preserved those in a what was called a vault, which was built into a granite rock, so it was all temperature controlled and safe and everything like that. So it was just a place to preserve them because we didn't know, nobody knew how long those could be preserved unless they were controlled with temperature. And all of those records have now been digitized. And now we have a bunch more throughout the world we got to go do. So your question was the cemetery ones that we showed you with the map. She goes, is that related to Find a Grave? And I said, yes, that's part of our partnership with them. All right, other questions? Yes, Teresa.
Do you have the database for like colonial dames, colonial warriors, DAR, all that?
She's saying, do we have the records or database for colonial dames?
Colonial warriors, the DAR.
Colonial warriors, the DAR. I don't know. Carrie? She's asking if we have the records for colonial dames, daughters of the Revolution, right?
Anything like that.
I don't know. We'll find out. And then my wife's gonna take some notes, and then we'll send them to Dee. And Dee, so I don't know. What I do want to show you, that makes me want to remember something. So how many of you have used relatives around me? So remember we have this tree where we're all connected, right? I'll bet every one of us in here, right? If you had a FamilySearch account and it went further back, we're all related some way or another. Most of the time, we found it's back between, let's say 8 to 14 generations is where you have a common ancestor. But we have this thing called Relatives Around Me, which you can turn on in here and everybody can see how they're related. But we've expanded that to what we do called Relatives at Roots Tech, or a big event. We can actually bring up this, how are you related to everybody in this event? And this year, the Daughters of the American Revolution called us and said, we are having our annual Congress and we would like to do this. So I set one up for them. That's part of what my team has built. So we still have it on, even though this happened a month ago. There's 7,898 of the members that have joined this Relatives at DAR, and I am related to 6,421 of them. That's over 80%. Now, that doesn't surprise me because my heritage goes back to early America, right? Lots of us do, right? If you're from the ethnicity where you go back to early American colonies in the 1700s and 1600s, you will be related to most everybody else, probably be somewhere between 10 to 15 generations back. So of these sweet ladies that are members of that, I'm related to that many. So 80% of them. Isn't that amazing?
But you know what? They don't make it easy to join. I'm only saying
I
you have to have the marriage certificate.
I'll call them. All right. I'll call the president now. We're like this. I'll get you in.
Well, I mean, what they require as far as
Yes.
marriage.
I understand. But I'm just saying this was a really neat opportunity that an organization used our database of persons to see how they could connect to each other, right? And many of them have found that they're fourth and fifth cousins, or that they found they're working on the same lines. They asked us to keep it up longer so that they could connect and do what? Work together instead of individually. So this is one of the powers of having a public tree, that you're able to see how you're connected and related to so many people. So that was a really amazing event, yes.
But it's based on the family trees that people have entered, so it's only as accurate as the tree.
It's always only as accurate as the trees. One of the really cool things about our system, when you go back 15 or so generations, we take multiple paths. We find hundreds and hundreds of ways that you can be connected, and we find the shortest one. And we've done a lot of analysis, and it's over 90% accurate. Just because our tree in the United States is really pretty good when you go back about 10, 12 generations. Not perfect, right? But it's pretty good. So, yeah, more questions.
Oh, it might be a dumb question, but that's okay. I'm dumb first. The Mormons went out to towns, city halls. They went to the archives. They collected all that information. I know they were over to the state archives just a couple of years ago. How do they continue getting those records from that point on to say to today? Do they go back out?
We have projects that are being done all the time, and if an organization or a society or a town or a county would like help to digitize their information, they can call FamilySearch and request to have help to do that.
Well, that's not the question.
Oh, sorry.
How does FamilySearch get that? How do they keep updating? Let's say they were over to the state archives.
Yes.
I volunteered. They were over there in let's say it's 2020. How do they maintain, let's say, what about 2021, 22, and now 23? What's the process for them to gather that information?
The public records that are now available that weren't 5 years ago?
Right.
Yeah, I'd have to find out. I don't know what the ongoing process is for that.
That was the question. What
Yeah.
is the
Sorry.
I know they've been to the towns, like our town, but they were back in 1938 or 19...
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, of course, we're involved in the census records that come out every 10 years, but I don't know about state, county, city records like that. So that's a good question. Yeah. Yeah, Carrie,
If they need them, I have access to it.
let me ask about that one, and then we'll get that to Dee. And would you put down, that's Marty, right?
Yeah, fine.
To get that back to you. Okay, let's one or two more questions. I think we're probably... Not yet. Usually starts in October for that. Yeah. She said, are they currently registering for Roots Tech? And it's not open. It usually opens in October. So, right. And one more question. Yes.
It might not pertain to your website, but in terms of federal records, is there some place you can go and you can see which port of entry your parents, grandparents, or grades came into the U.S.?
Her question is, there's some place you can go to see which port of entry your ancestors came through in the U.S., and there is. I don't know what it is. Does somebody else know how to answer that?
There's also the National Archives, I believe you can go through directly.
Would you,
Ellis Island.
yeah, would you help her? Yeah. Okay, sorry if I've kept you too long. I hope this was helpful and useful. Yes, thank you. I know a lot of times people ask me about research questions, and I know a little bit about research. I know a lot about FamilySearch and all the systems and all the stuff that we build. I just don't know about how to do research in Poland or somewhere else. So I apologize if that's what you came for. But I hope this in some way was very useful and helpful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the work that you do to help with your families. Again, look forward to the kind of the new working together in groups and families, and that'll kind of be a fun shift over the next 5 years. So thank you very much. Thank you. Yep.